The United States exports arms and defense services with the expectation that this will help produce strong, legitimate militaries capable of defending themselves. Instead, in many cases, U.S. arms have inadvertently helped to reinforce the corruption and authoritarianism that underpins regional instability. This is because arms procurement by these states can be used by regime elites for their own personal enrichment through the payment of bribes or kickbacks. They can also help elites pass out patronage by ensuring the proceeds of arms contracts or subcontracts are diverted to key supporters. This is made easier because a region lacks effective security sector transparency and accountability. In most regional states, arms procurement decisions are made solely by a tiny group of insiders, with no external audits and few or no protections against conflicts of interest or outright kickbacks. Usually, parliaments and citizens are forbidden to ask even about the most mundane aspects of these contracts, supposedly on national security grounds. The amount of money can be eye-watering. For example, British law enforcement documented at least £6 billion in bribes paid to the Saudi royal family between 1985 and 2006 as part of just one arms deal. In 2016, the defense minister of Iraq was summoned before parliament to answer allegations of billions of dollars lost to bribes. Arms purchased for personal enrichment or patronage are rarely used effectively for defense. It drains countries' coffers and helps lead to the kind of public anger over corruption that swept the region in the Arab Spring of 2011.
One of the major justifications for U.S. arms sales to the Middle East is job creation here at home. But I would argue that this is an increasingly less important factor. Middle Eastern purchases have changed a lot over the past decade. Historically, these states have often purchased expensive US-made weapons to keep American assembly lines from drying up, creating jobs. These big-ticket items generally went unused, however. But as newly emboldened countries like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates deploy their militaries in places like Yemen, they're demanding cutting-edge planes and missiles and relatively simple bombs that create few American jobs. For example, exporting combat aircraft create very few jobs because much of the value is transferred in the form of offsets to the client states. The United Arab Emirates is actually developing a pretty sophisticated domestic aircraft industry. Moreover, sophisticated airplanes like the F-35 have just started production. Therefore, their assembly lines will be humming regardless of what the Middle East orders. Missiles, on the other hand, are quite good job creators, but like the F-35, domestic and other international demand is very high in the era of great power competition. The defense industrial base literally cannot build these weapons fast enough for the United States alone. Finally, guided bombs are both the weapons most likely to be used in conflicts like Yemen and have very little effect on job creation because the prices are so low. In a very interesting earnings call, Raytheon basically told investors that the Biden administration's cancellation of a sale of payways to Saudi Arabia was going to have very little effect on their bottom line because it was such a small part of their portfolio. So therefore, a $23 billion arms deal to the United Arab Emirates will only create about 55,000 jobs. All right, that's roughly half the jobs that general exports will produce. And that makes the case for the fact that we should be focusing on exporting other material.